Have you ever wondered why on Christmas we cut down or carry evergreen trees inside our houses, decorate them with fancy ornaments, and place presents underneath them? So, why do people bring pine trees into their houses at the winter solstice, placing brightly coloured red and white packages under their boughs, as gifts to show their love for each other and as representations of the love of God and the gift of his son's life? It is because underneath the pine bough is the exact location where one would find this most sacred substance, the Amanita muscaria, in the wild. The Amanita muscaria is the red and white magic mushroom that grows almost exclusively beneath pine trees. Their main psychoactive ingredient is muscimol, as well as trace amounts of DMT, an entheogen naturally produced in the brain's pineal gland. The pine cone-shaped pineal gland is an organ that produces the same DMT found in this pine tree fungus, and much more. The pine tree is one of the well-known central relics of Christmas. Under this tree is where those who are deemed good find their reward in the form of a present. A big red and white rounded mushroom grows under the very tree we are to look under on Christmas morning to find our gift. Green, red and white as Christmas colours comes from the evergreen tree and the red and white mushrooms underneath. The word Christmas originally comes from the Egyptian KRST, oiled anointed one, and mez, the sacred cakes annually made or ingested by the Egyptians. This Eucharist was originally made from Amanita muscaria, or was the mushroom itself. The tradition existed all over the ancient world, but most of the iconography and symbology recognised today comes from pre-Christian Northern Europe. The very name Christmas is a holiday name composed of the words Christ, meaning one who is anointed with the magical substance, and Mass, a special religious service, ceremony of the sacramental ingestion of the Eucharist, the body of Christ. In the Catholic tradition, this substance, body soma, has been replaced by the doctrine of transubstantiation, whereby in a magical ceremony, the priest claimed the ability to transform a cracker, round wafer into the literal body of Christ, i.e. a substitute or placebo. Although most people see Christmas as a Christian holiday, most of the symbols and icons we associate with Christmas celebrations are actually derived from the shamanistic traditions of the tribal peoples of pre-Christian Northern Europe. The sacred mushroom of these people was the red and white Amanita muscaria mushroom. These peoples lived in dwellings made of birch and reindeer hide called yurts. Somewhat similar to a teepee, the yurt's central smoke hole is often also used as an entrance. After gathering the mushrooms from under the sacred trees where they appeared, the shamans would fill their sacks and return home. Climbing down the chimney entrances, they would share out the mushrooms' gifts with those within. Santa also dresses like a mushroom gatherer. When it was time to go out and harvest the magical mushrooms, the ancient shamans would dress much like Santa, wearing red and white fur-trimmed coats and long black boots. To this day, Siberian shamans dress in ceremonial red and white fur-trimmed jackets to gather the magic mushrooms. First they pick and place the mushrooms to partially dry on nearby pine boughs, which prepares them for ingestion and makes the load lighter. This is why we decorate our Christmas trees with ornaments and bulbs, because the gatherers would always adorn trees with drying mushrooms. Next, the shaman collects his red and white presents in a sack and proceeds to travel from house to house, delivering them. During Siberian winters, the snow piles up past the doors of their yurts, so the red and white clad shaman must climb down the smoke hole or chimney to deliver the presents in his sack. Finally, the appreciative villagers string the mushrooms up or put them in stockings hung afront the fire to dry. The ancient shamanic use of Amanita muscaria in Siberia is well documented. Despite governmental oppression against its use, there are still many who refuse to accept the authorized state religion and continue the shamanic traditions in secret. Just as the Siberian shaman, commonly dressing in red and white, would enter through the opening in the roof of a home where a ritual was to be done, Santa Claus also arrives on the roof and enters through the chimney. Just as the shamans would gather the mushrooms in bags, which they would bring with them when performing a ceremony. Santa Claus also, on the holy day, brings presents in a bag. Siberian reindeer also enjoy eating Amanita mushrooms and thus are often used as a lure by the deer-herding natives. Since one of the hallucinatory experiences often felt on psychedelic mushrooms is that of flying, Santa's flying reindeer most likely derive from this. Reindeer were the sacred animals of these semi-nomadic people, as the reindeer provided food, shelter, clothing, and other necessities. Reindeer are also fond of eating the Amanita mushrooms. They will seek them out and then prance about while under their influence. The effects of the Amanita mushroom usually include sensations of size distortion and flying. The feeling of flying could account for the legends of flying reindeer, and legends of shamanic journeys included stories of winged reindeer transporting their riders up to the highest branches of the world tree. The flying reindeer sleigh and the entire Santa Claus mythology originates from Siberia, where St. Nicholas, the patron saint of children, is a supplanter to the indigenous shamans. St. Nicholas, known as the patron saint of children, is the most revered saint in Russia, second only to the apostles. He is the Russian Orthodox Church's supplanter to the native people's highly respected local shaman. A shaman is a holy man that is well acquainted with a form of spirituality that incorporates plant entheogens which facilitate the NDE, near-death experience, or out-of-body experience. Saint Nicholas may not have been a shaman, yet the symbolism on and colouring of his robes could lend to speculation. One of the side effects of eating Amanita mushrooms is that the skin and facial features take on a flushed, ruddy glow. This is why Santa is always shown with glowing red cheeks and nose. Even Santa's jolly ho 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 is the euphoric laugh of one who has indulged in the magic fungus. It is fairly common knowledge that the Weihnachtsmann, or Saint Nick, was an amalgamation of older Germanic and Norse gods such as Thor, Donna, Odin and Wotan. What's often overlooked, however, is just as Santa flies through the skies in his sleigh, Odin, along with the rest, rode through the sky in his chariot, which is depicted in the stars by the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is the chariot of not only Odin and Wotan, but also Thor, King Arthur, and even Osiris of Egypt. The chariot that circles the North Star in a 24-hour period is thus also known as the Sleigh of Santa Claus, because it circles his mythological home, the North Pole. It is no surprise then that Nordic and Germanic gods have a connection to mushrooms in their mythology. As Thor throws his mushroom-shaped hammer to the ground, mighty thunders and lightning cracks cause the real mushrooms to appear. As the horses pulling Odin through the sky in his chariot become overexerted, their blood-mingled spit falls to the ground and causes the Amanita mushrooms to grow at those exact points. Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny have both been uprooted from their original positions. They began as mythological mushroom heroes understood in a spiritual context by both children and adults. Now their literal meaning has been suppressed and a fake image has been corporatized by Coke, Cadbury and others. The effect this has had is to turn mythological heroes into fantasies and lies. It was not meant for children to discover as they are coming of age that parents, family and friends have lied to them about Santa and the Easter Bunny. It was meant for them to discover deeper meanings behind the mythologies, such as the ancient astrotheological understanding of the heavens, the knowledge of the zodiacal precession, and seasonal cycles like solstices and equinoxes. By so deceiving our children, we rob them of a richer heritage. Many people in the modern world have rejected Christmas as being too commercial, claiming that this ritual of giving is actually a celebration of materialism and greed. Yet the true spirit of this winter festival lies not in the exchange of plastic toys, but in celebrating a gift from the earth, the fruiting top of a magical mushroom, and the revelatory experiences it can provide. Instead of perpetuating outdated and confusing holiday myths, it might be more fulfilling to return to the original source of these seasonal celebrations. How about getting back to basics and enjoying some magical mushrooms with your loved ones this solstice? What better gift can a family share than a little piece of love and enlightenment? The Easter egg hunt, like red and white presents under Christmas trees, is another activity inexplicable without magic mushrooms. The current understanding is that the Easter Bunny lays multicoloured eggs in or around every house for children to hunt for and collect in Easter baskets. But since when do rabbits lay eggs? Why are they colourful or spotted eggs? And why are they hidden for us to hunt and collect in baskets? Of course rabbits don't lay eggs, but in ancient myth, the spring or fertility goddess Eostra and the Germanic Ostara are both said to have saved a bird whose wings had frozen during the winter by turning it into a rabbit. Since the rabbit had once been a bird, it could still lay eggs, and that egg-laying hare became our Easter Bunny. The phoenix. From the ashes the egg appears. Then comes the upturned cap resembling a gold and red coloured bird, the gills as feathers. Then the heat burns the mushroom and it dissolves, once again leaving only ashes and finally repeating the whole cycle. The phoenix bird mythology is another piece of mushroom folklore. As the fetus is generated in the furnace of the uterus, so the mushroom, that evil ferment of the soil, as Nikanda calls it, is created, a womb within a womb, as it were. Like the fabulous phoenix, the mushroom is self-generated and regenerated, bursting forth from the vulva, only to die as quickly and then apparently miraculously to reappear, a resurrection of its own self.